2023. And so we are gathered here for the discussion about understanding NCF School Education 2023 and its implementation. And today we are talking about science, that is mainly for classes 6 to 8, middle stage. So let's talk about the agenda of the webinar first. So first of all, I'll be talking about schedule of implementation. Then I'll be talking about curricular goals and competencies in details and how they are aligned to grade 6, 7, and 8. Further, I'll be talking about effective teaching materials and resources that you can use in middle stage, followed by the pedagogy of science that we have to take care of. And at the end, I'll be talking about assessment techniques. So first of all, before proceeding further with the webinar, I really want to ponder over here about the aim of education. So a very key statement is given in NEP 2020 in 4.4 section. So it says the aim of education will not only be cognitive development, but also building character and creating holistic and well-rounded individuals equipped with the key 21st century skills. So please mind that here the important words are holistic, and then it says well-rounded individuals. Means the aim of our education should be that the learners are well-rounded, or they are they have holistic development, right? We have to build their character, not just cognitive development. And definitely we have to focus on 21st century skills, right? So moving ahead, you know that vision of society was given by Constitution of India. Then vision and purposes of education was given in NEP 2020. Now for that NEP 2020, the vision, the purpose, we need to have a framework for that, which was given in as NCF, and in which we have aims of school education, right? And which also contains desirable knowledge, capacities, values, and dispositions, and which definitely lead to curricular areas. In short, I can say curricular areas are the subjects. These are the subjects only. So NEP 2020 revolutionizes the Indian education. It is aiming for the transformation through schools. So how to achieve that? How to achieve those guidelines? For that, we have NCF, which crucially implements NEP guidelines for effective change. I hope you completely agree that the guidelines of NEP are followed in NCF, and we have to make sure, and even there was a CBSE circular last month that our books, even middle stage books, they should be well aligned with NCF. So all the competencies and curricular goals should be there. The books should be aligned completely with those CGs and competencies. So definitely I'll be talking about what are those CGs, what are the competencies we have to take care. So what are the objectives of NCF 2023? Moving from this, first of all, NCF talked about specifying stakeholder duties. So, you know, NCF is a really big document. Initially, it was 628 pages, then it was revised, and we have 600-page document, right? So I have just given a brief here. So specifying stakeholder duties was mentioned. Then it also emphasized on innovating for the better. Then emphasis was given on teachers, right? The teacher training, what could be the teaching learning materials we can have. So there was more emphasis on teachers as well. Targeting realistic changes, more practical approach is given in NCF. Then changes to the curriculum. You already know that previously we didn't have curricular goals as of the curricular goals we have. They are more well-defined, well-organized manner. And then modernization in the Indian education system. Further, I can say in 4 points, I can Am I audible? Yeah. So I was saying that the further I can define the objectives of NCF in 4 points. One is development of curriculum, second, development of pedagogy, then assessment is given, and teacher development. So these are the key areas we have to focus on. And what are the basic principles which are mentioned in NCF? That there, we have to look forward for the holistic development. We have to take care of inclusivity. Then there must be interdisciplinary approach in the learning, in the education system. Then there must be competency based education. And at the end, definitely the focus is on use of technology, the ICT tools, right? So these are the main key points that you need to know about NCF. And then definitely curricular goals and competencies. Further, if I talk about the schedule of implementation, so NEP 2023 implementation timeline is as follows. First of all, the implementation was done in 2023 itself in the same session for foundation and preparatory stages. Then for the middle stage, it is being done in this year, that is 2024 to 2025, where interdisciplinary learning is more emphasized upon, right? So there are subject specific goals given. The goals are given for science, for social studies, for mathematics, for the languages. So fixed goals are given which we have to achieve. Then emphasis is also given on learning standards, the pedagogy, and the assessment tools. What kind of assessment tools or what kind of assessment should we taken care of? Or only evaluation is necessary, or it should be both assessments and evaluation that will support holistic growth. Further, for the secondary stage, it will be done next year. The implementation will be held next year, that is 2025-2026 in grades 9, 10, and further the expansion will be in 11 and 12. Then definitely teacher training and preparedness is already going on. I am sure that you already know that there are a lot of in-service trainings that CBSE is actually holding, right? A lot of trainings are going on by CBSE. Also, there is a fixed duration that you have to take care of. The CPD hours are mandatory. And not only that, focus is also on equipping educators with tools like various modules are provided, they are providing. Not only that, competency based questions, the question banks are given, they are being released for all the classes. Then policy and resource development, creating teacher learning materials, right? Even lesson plans, CBSE released some lesson plans also. Then as I said that they are actually helping in providing capacity building programs, right? They are hiring good resource persons and they are actually doing capacity building programs. Not only that, they are also making the arrangements where there could be more like collaborative learning that can take place. So in NCF, there is a clear focus on Panchpadi, Panchkosha, and Pramana. So NCF clearly indicates that Panchpadi, what is Panchpadi? How a teacher is giving instruction in the class. So there must be a process for that. It's a 5-step process. So how the class is introduced with a warm-up activity, then what kind of concepts a teacher is actually doing in the class, and what kind of activities are going on in practice. Then what kind of questions are discussed as in application. And for expansion, there is art integration, subject integration, life skills, and lot of other project activities that are taking place. So this Panchpadi system is very important in the learning process, and it is very much explained in NCF. So NCF says that all the teacher instruction should be as per Panchpadi system. Then NCF also says that you need to follow Panchakoshas, because we are talking about holistic development of children. For holistic development means there should be 5 layers of developments. We should take care of their physical development, development of life energy, mental development, intellectual development, and spiritual development. So in the beginning, I clearly mentioned it's not just cognitive development, it's the holistic development we need to focus on. So there must be questions even in any of the subject, in any of the topics. There should be some questions related to wherever it is possible to utilize these uh, developments. You need to make sure that you are actually touching on these areas as well. Then NCF also discusses about pramanas. So there are 6 pramanas. Now, what are pramanas? The ways of learning. You know, every child has his or her own way of learning, but still there are a fixed ways, defined ways of learning also. Like if I ask you, what is the color of my coat? Can you say, what is the color of my coat that I'm wearing today?
Ma'am, white.
Yeah, I mean, though there is, I think, little less light here. It's blue in color, whitish blue in color. It's sky blue, you can say. So you can perceive that. Do you think children can learn by perceiving something? Yes. So what kind of pramana is it? What kind of way of learning it is? It is perception. It's that easy. Inference. And do you think that you are already doing this? When children are looking at the leaves, they are actually perceiving something that, oh, the leaves are green in color. They are perceiving it, they are keeping it in their memory. Are they doing experiment? Science is full of experiments. I mean, it will be so boring to do anything if there is no experiment in science. So inferences by concluding something using their observations. It's inference. Similarly, all these, do you think, do children study by comparing two things? Like the difference between day and night, the difference between, what else could be there? The difference between different stages of moon, or there could be the difference between living things and non-living things, transparent, opaque, and translucent. So anything and everything, lot of things, lot of topics are actually dealt by differentiating between the two. Right. So comparison is another way of thinking or learning. So there are n number of ways of thinking and learning, but these 6 are mainly focused in NCF. So NCF says you need to focus on all these 3 core components while teaching. And you know, we actually do it. And even our books. So you have a book. You should have a book which should actually include all these things. Now, NEP clearly says these are the assessment. There must be competency-based learning. There must be experiential learning taking place in the class. And the assessment segment should have all this. There must be some 21st century skills being developed in the class. So the questions should be related to critical thinking, problem solving. These are 21st century skills. Digital literacy, assertion and reason questions should be taken care of. Picture-based questions should be there. Art integration, exploration, case study, subject integration, life skill. So while doing any chapter, either all or few of these components should be there as assessment tools. Then NCF also clearly says the chapters should be structured as per curricular goals and competencies. The content list must focus on CGs and competencies. Further, the chapter should be designed in terms of Panchpadi, or you can say the teacher instruction should be as per Panchpadi system. And activities and exercises should take care of Pramanas and Panchkoshas. Right? So whenever you do some activity, you will find that one or the another Pramana will definitely inclined or aligned to it. Right. Similarly, there will be some kind of development going on, either intellectual or emotional. So there will be Panchakosha that must be aligned with that particular activity or any exercise question. So we need to take care that whenever we are talking about something, I mean, it could be possible that sorry for the bad idea, but there will be a possibility that in the next few, months, you will find that your principal will be asking to write which curricular goal are you focusing on in your lesson plan. I'm sure you are making lesson plan, but you should know that which curricular goal are you focusing on actually. And it's very easy. We will be discussing about that. So I hope you have understood the importance of NCF. I hope you have understood the schedule of implementation till now, that definitely it is already being implemented this year in middle stage. So before proceeding to my next topic, let me go to the next topic first. My next topic is curricular goals and competencies. To understand this topic better, you must we must discuss all this. We must discuss what is the aim, what are the aims of science education as per NCF. So NCF clearly says fix aims of science education. So it's a 600-page document. And if you will open page number 294 onwards, you will find a specific document given for science education, right? So in that, it is clearly mentioned that the first aim of science education is scientific understanding of the natural and physical world. Children should be well aware about their natural surroundings and physical world. So how is it possible? Obviously, by learning it, by understanding it, and not only that, by doing some experiments. So it can be developed through observations, some questions they ask, then experiments, theories, laws, principles, and concepts. Then it says capacities for scientific inquiry. The children should have those abilities for what? For put forth the hypothesis. They can assume something. They can argue. There must be some arguments. They can predict something. They can analyze something, and they can even test those hypotheses. Right. So it's not just that you are saying that seed is germinated like this. You have explained that this seed needs light, warmth, water, right, and right amount of nutrients so that it can grow. No, they want to do. You have to tell them that they have to do some experiment to understand how is it actually working. And I'm sure that you must have been doing a lot of activities related to seed germination. Not just seed is growing. Sprouting can be done in the preparatory stage. What next? In middle stage, what could be the next thing you can do in seed germination? Any idea? Anything that you want to share? In doing seed germination experiment, what is the next thing that you can do? Sprouting, they have done in preparatory stage already. Anyone?
Hydroponics or aeroponics, then
Yeah.
retrieve dish from that microgreens.
Absolutely right. Absolutely correct. Wonderful answer, ma'am. And also, they can also see whether boiled seeds can germinate or not, right? And they
Yes,
can
yes.
also, yeah, they can also think about, I mean, what could be the growth? They can compare the growth of various kind of seeds. Are they all germinating in the same time frame, or they take different duration, different nutrients, or maybe the growth would vary as per the type of seed they are. So even there could be a differentiation between monocots and dicots accordingly. So the point is that
Germination within the house and outside the means regarding the photosynthesis, are they germinate at the
absolutely,
home or not?
absolutely correct,
That
absolutely
concept also
wonderful.
we can teach.
Yes, yes. What is the effect of temperature in the shade, in the sunlight? All this concept can be taken. It's not, so this is what I'm saying. It's not uh, just doing the topic. It's about they should experiment something. If not in the, because I know that you have a limited time frame, but uh, with all these time constraints, you can give this even at home. Even if one or two children are doing at home, they are doing something and they will share with their class peers, and it will work, right? So developing the scientific inquiry within the children is also important. Then another science education aim is understanding the evolution of scientific knowledge. Then interdisciplinary understanding between science and other curricular areas. I'm sure we all agree that science and maths are related somewhere. And similarly, science is also related to social studies, right? Mainly in geography. Excuse me. So even art integrated projects can be done, subject integrated projects can be done. Not in all chapters, but wherever it is possible and convenient. Please, Miss Vijay Lakshmi, don't scribble here. Thank you. Galaxy A30 also. Understanding of the relationship between science, technology, and society. They should be well aware about the relationship. Then scientific temper. There should be a development of scientific temper by developing the capacities for critical and evidence-based thinking and imbibe scientific values and dispositions. Final, creativity. They should ask good questions. They should observe patterns in the world around us. They should formulate some hypothesis, and they should design some good experiments. So even you can ask them, how can you do seed germination? What else you can do in seed germination? They will also come up with some ideas. So now let's talk about curricular goals and competencies. So in NCF, when you look at the NCF document, the curricular goals and competencies are given under the heading learning standards. Learning standards. So there are fixed standards given, and it is these curricular goals and competencies. So learning standards are there for every curricular area. What is a curricular area? The subject. Which subject? I'm talking about science. Then for curricular area has fixed curricular aims that we have already discussed, right? And then curricular aims should be dealt with some goals. So these goals are given in learning standards. Now goals, how will we achieve these goals? By taking care of the competencies. And for doing these competencies, we need to make sure we need to know what are the learning outcomes and what are the learning objectives. I'm sure that whenever you make lesson plan, you do write learning objectives. Am I right? Do you write learning objectives?
Yes, ma'am, we do.
Yes. So when you do learning objectives, from where those learning objectives you are deriving from? So you're deriving those learning objectives from the competencies only. I mean, though if you have not studied the competencies, you have a list of
Learning
top.
outcomes are also written in the book as well.
Yes, you are absolutely right. They are given in the books as well. Just a minute. Yeah, thank you. Okay, thank you for waiting. So curricular goals, you are absolutely right. Learning objectives and or outcomes, they are given in the book. So they are topic wise, right? And even if you have to write your own learning objective, suppose only 4 points are given, and those four points you are not dealing in the class. I mean, you are doing the subtopic. So where will you get that learning objective or learning outcome? Definitely, it will come from competencies. Right, let me show you one. I'll be talking about all this. So this is the curricular goal which is given in NCF. Each curricular goal has many competencies. For example, look at this. I mean, let's read together. Explore the world of matter and its constituents, properties, and behavior. So it's a broader aspect. Goal is a broader aspect where we are talking about world of matter. It's a broader term. So what we will explore in that, what children will explore in that, they will be first competency is they will be able to classify physical and chemical characteristics. And what all in physical? Solid, liquid, gas, volume, shape, density, transparent, opaque, translucent, magnetic, non-magnetic, and whatnot. So many things are given within one competency. I hope you agree with me. Even one competency cannot be covered in one chapter. Do you agree? Can we do pure, impure, acid, base, metal, non-metal, element, compound in one chapter itself?
No,
ma'am.
No, it's not possible, and it will not be appropriate. I mean, it will not be age and grade appropriate. A child cannot understand acid base if he or she is not able to understand element and compound, right? So pure, impure, element, non and compound, you have to know that what is actually, I mean, how we have to arrange it like grade wise or age wise, right? From the simpler to complex things. So this is what I'm saying, that this competency will lead to the learning outcome and the content list. So you know that NCERT has given class 6 is there, right? Class 6 book we have named as Curiosity. There are 12 chapters in that. Am I right? There are 12 chapters in that. And all those 12 chapters, do you think all the competency, this entire competency is covered in all those 12 chapters. I mean, if you just see physics, chemistry, biology, this competency is related to chemistry chapter. But still, you can see that acid base is not covered in that. Metal, non-metal is not covered in that. Element compound is not covered in that. So grade 6, so this chemical characteristic, it is not grade 6 appropriate. It is better to have it in grade 7 and 8. I hope you agree with me,
Yes,
right?
ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So competencies lead to learning objectives and learning outcomes. Now let's go back quickly. So I was saying, so curricular aim leads to curricular goal and curricular goals lead to competencies. So what are competencies? Learning achievements, which are observable and we can assess them. They are derived from curricular goals and they are stage specific. And definitely they are given in NCF. There is no doubt. But definitely the competencies will be affected and the learning outcomes will be affected as per resource availability, time availability, and institutional and teachers' capacities. It depends. The circumstances also matter while planning any lesson plan or while thinking about the learning outcomes. It could be possible one teacher is teaching the same topic in 5 classes and other is taking just 3 classes. It varies on the resource availability, time availability, and the capacities we have. So before proceeding further, child development at this stage, it is 11 to 14 years. I hope I'm right. They are actually going through biological processes. There is some cognitive changes taking place and socio-emotional processes also. So this period is very crucial for middle stage. We should agree to this, that transition period is taking place from childhood to early adulthood, right? Now they are entering the adolescence. We have to understand this. And adolescence begins with rapid physical changes like gain in height, weight, their body structure, and their secondary characters also. Then at this stage, development of identity and quest for independence is the central theme in the children. So we, as a teacher, we should understand that possibly they are also going through some biological changes, some emotional changes. So the first one we have already discussed about. Okay, so what we are going to do to make it more interactive, we will also discuss that which chapter. I'm sure everybody knows Curiosity, right? NCRT Curiosity book. And I'm sure everybody knows that the list of those 12 chapters. Yeah. So if you know any chapter which is aligned to any competency, please let me know. Okay. And it could be possible that no chapter is actually dealing with that particular competency. It's okay. The curricular goals and competencies are given for middle stage, means for grade 6 to 8. So we are just aligning the competencies with grade 6. It means the remaining curricular goals and competencies we have to meet, as the CBSE circular says, we have to meet in grade 7 and 8. That we will also talk about. But let's talk about this. Do you think competency 1.1 is any chapter related to this competency? It could be partial, it could be completely like aligned with that chapter. It's okay. Any answer to this? Anyone who knows any chapter which is related to, if it contains transparent, opaque, and translucent? Have you seen any chapter in class 6?
Materials around us.
Yes, ma'am.
Absolutely.
Yes, ma'am.
You are
Material
right.
around us.
Absolutely.
Yes, ma'am.
Chapter 6 it is. Am I right? Materials around us. And what about solid liquid gas? Is there any touch up on solid liquid gas in any chapter?
Ma'am, also separation of substances.
Separation of substances?
Grade
Yes,
6.
ma'am. Separation of substances.
Absolutely right. Can I mark this? Pure and impure will be separation of substances? No? Pure and impure also will be, I mean, partially. Can I say partially?
Yes,
Separation
ma'am. Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
partially.
Partially.
Partially,
Lighter,
yes.
heavier, so, objects that float, objects that
Absolutely.
sink.
If you will read the chapter, sink and floatability is not in that chapter. I mean, it has been deleted now. I mean, it's not in that chapter specifically, but yes, oh, sorry, I have written the wrong number here. I'm sorry. It is chapter 9 actually. The separation techniques and solid liquid gas. I was asking this question. What about solid liquid?
Journey through states of water, in which
Absolutely
we
right.
studied about solid liquid gas.
Wonderful answer, ma'am. Chapter 8 is the journey through the journey of water through different states, right?
States of water.
Yeah, states of water. Absolutely right. That's chapter 8. And there, though, we are talking about ice, water, and water vapor. But yes, at the end, they are also talking about matter, solid, liquid, gas. A part is used. I mean, and then volume. Volume. In the same chapter, chapter 8, they are also talking about volume, right? Mass and volume. Yeah. So can I say that in class 6, they're not in class 6, we cannot find conducting and non-conducting. In class 6, it is there. Where? In which chapter?
Electric circuits?
Electrical circuit, ma'am.
In grade 6. In
No,
grade 6? No, it's not there.
no, it's not there in grade 6. ma'am.
Yes, it's not there in grade 6. You're right. It is there in higher grades, in probably in grade 8. It is there. Yeah,
Ma'am, electric circuit will be there in class 8.
absolutely right. Absolutely right. Okay. Then acid and base is there. There is a chapter in grade 7. Metal and non-metal you will also find. Do you find element and compound? Any such chapter in grade 6, 7, 8 in NCRT?
No, ma'am.
There
No,
is
ma'am.
no, yeah. So
No,
there is
ma'am.
no
No, ma'am.
such chapter. Yeah. Magnetic and non-magnetic, we can say it is covered in
Yes, grade
exploring
6
magnets.
exploring
Sixth
magnets.
Yeah,
ma'am.
exploring
Fundamental
magnets.
magnet.
Yeah, chapter 4 of grade 6. But element and compound is not there in any of the NCRT grade 6, 7, 8.
Ma'am,
Specifically,
even metal and non-metal is also deleted from class 8.
you are absolutely right. It is not there. So we have to make sure that if CBSE circular says that we have to have those books which are aligned with NCF. So where are these topics? How will we deal with these topics? Right. Now let's proceed further. There are many such topics that you will find. So describe changes in matter. This entire competency is not actually covered, I should say. The properties of matter. So basically it is the particulate nature means they're talking about kinetic theory of molecules. Do we teach this? Do we actually discuss this in the class?
No, ma'am.
No, we
No, ma'am.
don't do. Yeah,
No,
we don't do this. So this entire chapter is missing. It's not there in either of the book. Okay, let's move further. Competency 1.3 explains the importance of measurement and measures physical properties of matter. I want to do the next one also. Yeah. Yeah, we have measurement chapter. We do have measurement chapter.
They're in class 6.
Yeah, it is
Motion
there.
and measurement. Motion and
Absolutely.
measurement.
You are absolutely right. And then for temperature also we have a chapter in grade 6. Right?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, we
Yes.
are also talking about standard units or non-standard units in that. Then
It is
also,
there. It is there.
yes, it is there. So it means the rest of the topics should be taken care in 7 and 8. Right? And similarly here, the phenomena, pressure, temperature, density, sinking and floating, water pumps and all this should be taken care in 6, in 7 and 8. If only this much part is there in 6, so the remaining should be in class 7 and 8. But if you see the syllabus, the content list in 7 and 8, you will find that all of it, this is not covered. So that's why they will be coming up with the new NCRTs, right? Where there will be a more aligned syllabus to the NCF. So let's talk about curricular goal 2. Explores the physical world in scientific and mathematical terms. Do you see that there is a chapter of motion, the measurements? Is there a chapter?
Yes, ma'am. In class
Yes, ma'am.
7, it is there.
Yeah, even in
Concept.
class 6 it is there, but they are not talking about speed. They're not
Class
Yes,
talking.
ma'am.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
This part is missing. Speed, changes in speed, it is not given. Though there is a topic of motion, like what type of motion are there, oscillatory motion, linear motion and all, it is there in grade 6.
And
Then,
measurement is also there.
yes, measurement is also there. Then electricity chapter, the heating and magnetic
It is
effects
there
of
in class
electricity.
6.
It's not there in class 6. No, no,
No,
ma'am.
ma'am, it is not there in class 6. It
It's
is in
not in
class
class.
7.
7.
Yes, it is in 7, right. Then what about the next one? This is definitely chapter 4, right? Properties
Yes.
of magnet,
Yes.
directly aligned.
Hmm.
So you can see that chapter 4 I mentioned here and previously. So there could be one chapter which is dealing with 2 or 3 competencies. It is quite possible, right? So in your lesson plan, I'm sorry for the bad thought, but yes, it's true that it would be possible that your principals or your coordinators will say, you have to also mention the curricular goal or competency you are talking about or taking care in a particular chapter. So for that, you should know that it could be possible that chapter 4 is related to this competency and the previous one also. So it's just about writing 2 points, C 2.3 and C 1.4. Yeah, C 2.4, light. The entire light chapter is there in class 7. Am I right?
It is
Yes,
in class
ma'am.
7.
Yes, it is there. But it's not in class
Yes,
6.
ma'am.
Can I say this is Beyond Earth, chapter 12? Is this Beyond Earth, chapter 12?
Yes,
Do you
ma'am.
agree?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Oh, sorry. Yeah. Then curricular goal 3. So diversity of living things. Is there a chapter of diversity in living things?
Diversity in living
Yes,
organisms.
Yeah.
Sixth standard.
Yeah. Yes, it is there. It is the chapter of class 6. I think it is chapter 3. Is it 2 or 3? I think it is 2, chapter 2.
Chapter 2.
Chapter 2, you're right. And then I'm sure, I mean, it's not necessary that every and each and everything will be covered. If it is not covered, definitely they will be taking care in class 7 and 8 in the next, in the new upcoming NCRTs. So distinguishes the characteristics of living organisms. This is, I can say it is chapter 10. Do you agree?
Living creatures.
Yes,
Yes, ma'am.
absolutely right. Then analyzes patterns of relationships between living organism and their environment. So it's more about like adaptations, habitat. Do you agree?
Yes,
Mhm.
ma'am.
It is there.
Yeah, yeah. So again,
Yes,
it
ma'am.
is in class 6 chapter, right?
Chapter
Then
10.
yes, chapter 10 only. Then if I say this one, explains the conditions suitable for sustaining life on Earth and other planets. So on Earth, beyond Earth is the chapter. But for other planets, it is not clearly given. Right?
Yes.
Yeah. So next is CG4, undertakes a nutrition-based analysis of food. Definitely, it is somewhere related to chapter 3, eating.
3.
Yeah, yes, you're right. Chapter 3, but again, I mean, if you talk about 4.2, different dimensions of diversity of food, this is still not covered in that. You can see nutrients are still covered, but not everything. Sources, climatic conditions, they are not completely covered. Partially, it is
So-
covered for sure.
Partially covered, yes.
Yes. And what about adolescence? Is it covered in any of the chapter in class 6?
No, ma'am.
That
No,
in
ma'am.
grade
It's
8.
in class
Then-
8.
Yes, it is in class 8. You're right. And what about substance abuse?
Grade 8 again.
Grade
Grade
8.
only.
Okay,
In the age of adolescence.
absolutely right. And then
And ma'am, in class 8, that's a partial coverage, not full.
absolutely right. It's not completely covered. And you know, the rest of the CGs that I'll be showing, the content is already done. This much is the content part. You will find that, I mean, let me show you more. Let's discuss further. And then you will understand what I was trying to say. I'll explain that. Wait, huh? So let's also read CG5. Illustrates how science and technology can help to improve the quality of human life. Healthcare, communication, transport, food security, mitigation of climate change, judicious consumption of resources, For this judicious consumption of resources, we can say it is related to nature's treasures, right? Where they're talking about pollution, they're talking about water conservation, air, taking care of air pollution. So consumption of resources, I can say it is nature's treasure that can be done, right? Applications of artificial satellite, this part is not covered anywhere. It is not there in any of the grade. Do you agree? 6, 7, 8. It is not at all there.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Yeah. Food security, healthcare, do you think it is covered somewhere? Communication and transportation? I don't think there is any such chapter.
Yes, ma'am.
Food security, I
Food
think in third
security.
chapter, class 6.
But I mean, okay, we can say that. But yeah, so there are some topics which are still missing from any of the 6, 7, 8. So what about 5.2? Shares views on news and articles related to impact that science or technology and society have on each other. So it's like, it's a general now. So the rest of the CGs you will find and competencies you will find, they are general. They are applicable to every other CG, every previous competency. So there could be any topic. It could be the topic related to communication, transportation, pollution. If there is any news or article that you can use in the class. So if you are using, suppose there we are talking about water pollution. If you show any news or any article related to that particular topic, you are taking care of competency 5.2. It's like that. Okay, so there could be possibility. There are a lot of articles you can find on water pollution, air pollution, right? Then what about 6.1? Illustrates how scientific knowledge and ideas have changed over time. And so it's about evolution of motion of objects, planets, generation of life, number of planets, identifies the scientific values that are inherent and common across the evolution of scientific knowledge. So if you're talking about conserving biodiversity, conserving ecosystems, you are actually taking care of competency 6.1. So you will find that this competency again, it is not in one chapter, it will be taken care in various chapters. Like Beyond Earth has some of the hint or touch of C 6.1, but not the entire C 6.1, right? Now C 6.2 formulates questions using scientific terminology. So if you are using variety of scientific terminologies, like if you are making some events, some patterns, if you're talking about constellations, for example, if you're talking about phases of moon, you're talking about a pattern, you're talking about events. So you're actually taking care of C 6.2, right? And if you are able to collect some data, can children collect data of phases of moon? Is it possible?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, so there are a lot of such topics where children can easily accumulate some data. So when they make some data, when they can collect some evidence, you are actually focusing on competency 6.2, right? Now, what about competency 7.1? Just talking about some scientific vocabulary. In each and every chapter, we do this. We use scientific vocabulary. We build some scientific vocabulary to communicate science accurately in oral and written form. So it is related to each and every chapter. 7.2 designs and builds simple models to demonstrate scientific concepts. Do we do that? In many of the cases, yes. When in Nature's Treasure, there are multiple type of models we can make on for example, we can make model on windmill. I mean, children make a lot of models in that related to natural resources, right? And then there are models in digestive system. There are models in excretory system, in heart, in electricity also. Yes. So many simple models can be absolutely. Then in
Ma'am,
7.3,
even in the stars and solar system, we have that.
yes, you're right. Represents real world events and relationships through diagrams and simple mathematical representation. And not only that, even in the form of an activity. Then that Oreo cookie activity, if you want to use that Oreo cookie activity in the phases of moon, it's C7.3 you are focusing on. So communicates questions, observation, and conclusions related to science. That's CG7. And you are taking care of this CG by implementing competency 7.3 in your topic. So this is how we relate curricular goal to competency and to our learning outcomes. Then what is C8.1? It's very interesting, important. So knows, even if even you must have seen that in most of the NCRT chapter, class 6 I'm talking about, where shlokas are given, some quotations are given in Hindi or maybe in Sanskrit and their meaning, right? So why it is there? Because they have to take care of CG8. What is CG8? Understands and appreciates the contribution of India through history and the present times to the overall field of science. So if we are talking about any significant contribution of India to any topic, we are talking about C8.1 and CG8. So if you are teaching them plants, variety of plants, and if you can tell them that this particular plant species is well known in India, you can find it here, which coal refinery you can find, which national park you can find in India, how many of them, you are actually taking care of this CG. Okay. Now let's proceed. And if you're talking about beyond Earth, you have Chandrayaan 1, 2, 3, Gaganyaan, Aditya L1. So all this, if you're talking about in the class or asking them to make project, you are taking care of CG8. Then what about CG9? Develops awareness of most current discoveries, ideas, and frontiers in all areas. So here states concepts that represent the most current understanding of the matter, ranging from more familiarity to conceptual understanding of matter. I mean, it's like talking about metal, non-metal, then talking about their atoms. And in the atoms, then they will go to more abstract knowledge when they take care of electron, proton, neutron in higher classes. So if you are actually if you are talking about matter to their development stage, I mean, if you're talking about matter initially, and then it is relevant further to their next stage, you are taking care of C9.1. Then 9.2 says, the last one, states questions related to matters in the curriculum for which current scientific understanding is well recognized to be inadequate. I mean, what does this mean? If they can ask some questions related to matter or matters, there could be any topic in the curriculum for which current scientific understanding is inadequate. It's not complete. So any such questions, if they are asking, if you are asking or they are asking, we are actually taking care of C9.2. So this is how curricular goals are aligned with class 6. But still I can say that it is not completely covered. But still I can say it is not completely covered in 7 and 8. And I just want to show you one thing. We have already discussed all these. Just a minute. Yeah. So when I talk about this is class 7 NCRT prelims. You will find nutrition in plants and animals. It is covered in the CG. Heat is there in CG. Acid, bases, and salt is there in CG. Physical and chemical changes, respiration, transportation, reproduction. It is definitely there in CG. Motion and time, reproduction, electric current, 100%. All this component is there in CG. Light, forest, wastewater story. Everything is covered. Also, forest and wastewater story, they have shifted these two topics in class 6. In Nature's Treasure, you will find forests. Then story of water, I mean, it's not story basically, but water component is there in grade 6. They have shifted to grade 6. Not only that, the part of heat, some part of heat is also shifted to where? In class 6. Yes, absolutely. Temperature measurement. Now, in class 8, you will find most of the topics, there are topics which are not there in CGs. They are not at all there in CG. Can you identify?
Force and pressure.
Friction, sound.
Yes, absolutely right. Even crop production and management, still it is partially there. Microorganisms, partially there, I can say.
Combustion and flame.
Yes, you are right. Combustion and flame is totally not there in any of the CG. It is not covered. Conservation, partially, yes, it is covered. Coal and petroleum, nature's treasure, I can say it is there. Right? We cannot ignore that. It's there. Reproduction, but not in that detail. It is not required in that detail, which is given in this book. Reproduction in animals is there. Adolescence is there. Force and pressure is not there. Friction is not there. Sound is not there. Chemical effects of electric current is not there. Some natural phenomena, partially it is there, I can say. Light is definitely there. But there are a lot of topics which are not there in CGs. They are not covered in CGs. And there must be books which are well covered with CGs. I mean, the book should be well aligned with the curricular goals and competencies. Right? So make sure that we have to fill, as a teacher, as educator, we have to fill that learning gap. If children are going from class 8 to class 9, there is a learning gap. I'm sure you all agree. They definitely face that learning gap, right? So as a teacher, we should know that such learning gap should not be there. So we need to focus on, oh, I don't know why this is happening. Okay. So that learning gap, we have to bridge in between. Yeah, so let's talk about effective teaching materials and resources that you can utilize. So definitely everybody knows teaching learning material is very important for all the educators. So these are the instructional aids, right? They facilitate a teacher to achieve some learning objectives and make the class more engaging. And definitely it provides a great learning experience. So these are the purpose of using TLMs. It's very important to motivate learners, help in longer retention of information, facilitate holistic learning, helps in organizing classroom teaching, practical applications, making learning fun, and concept formation. So, yeah. So what are the, Mr. Anshuman Das, please don't scribble on my screen. Thank you. So what are the types of teaching learning materials? Audio aids. You know, we have stopped doing this, but children still learn. They love it. If you tell them some podcast, or if you just play a podcast in the class, they enjoy it. So if you find some podcast related to a particular topic, use it in the class. Your class will be silent. They will be listening to what is happening and why ma'am is different today, why there is a different approach. So podcasts actually work a lot. Then radio broadcast, if you find any conversation which is related to the topic, please use that. Visual aids, definitely we need some books which have beautiful picture illustrations with well-labeled diagram, and encyclopedias or reference books, magazine, newspaper, documents, clippings, case studies, or reports. Then other teaching learning materials include, other than the 2D, the 2D non-projected visual aids are charts, posters, maps, diagrams, graphs, photographs, cartoons, comic strips. So for 3D, we could have model, we could have diorama, and then globes, specimen, puppet, or holograms. Audio-visual aids, I'm sure you must be using modules in the class. If not using modules in the class, you must be using some or the other videos in the class or PPTs in the class. You have used even in the COVID times, the PPTs while teaching in the class, various digital tools you can use. And obviously, if there is any picture that you feel that it is relevant to my topic, then please utilize that resource in the class. It cannot, if not in the class, you can give it as a home task. They love it. They do it. There are few things only they like to do. So if you engage them in more visual aids or like audio aids, they enjoy the subject. Definitely learning activity for making learning activity successful, you have to take care of the time constraints first of all. Right, what I will do to explain the topic, how I will begin with the topic, how will I engage them, you should take care of all this. And what is the follow-up session? So as per NCF says that development of essential process capacities means if you want to develop scientific temper, observation, making hypothesis, experimentation, data collection, analysis, and discussion. For doing any of this, you need to focus on these. What? You need to assign tasks based on natural curiosity of students, which they can do easily. They can question easily, you know that. They assume easily, then do that. Give such tasks where they can ask questions a lot. They can write their questions if they have, and then discuss in the class. Extend this experience to students' own lives. Like if you're talking about water, why just talking about the water of the earth? They can also talk about wastage of water at home and in school, and they can do the project related to it. And ask them to describe their observations and hypotheses. Then organize visits to local market. If you can't organize by yourself, ask them to go with their parents. Local market, fair, museum, monuments, share observations and experiences. If not this, you can at least do some digital science tours, science museum tour you can do. Conduct hands-on experiments to test hypotheses and make informed conclusions. So this is what NCF says, that you can do these tasks. Experiments can be conducted in groups to encourage collaboration and more interaction. Definitely, I'm sure you are using this. You all are very experienced teachers, and even during the regular discussions or at the end of the topic or even during revisions, you must be using concept maps. So ask children to make concept maps on their own. So for the first chapter, you have to do it. But for the next chapter, you can ask them, now you make it. Right. And this is another good activity that you can do in the class, 6 thinking hats. This is a very interesting activity to do a revision in the class. Suppose you have a short of time and you want to do a topic. For example, corrosion is the topic, right? So for corrosion, what you have to do in that as a home task, you can ask them to read about corrosion, right? Or else you can give a document, a Word document where everything is written about corrosion in 1 page or 2 page. They can read till 1 page easily at least, right? If they are busy even, they can easily read 1 or 2 pages at home. So what they have to fill in these 6 hats, process. They can write 1 or 2 lines about process. Then for white hat, they can write something about related to fact. Then feelings. The corroded iron, what is its feeling? Is it soft? Is it brittle? Right. Benefits. Benefits means if it is corroded, is there any advantage of corrosion? They can put it here. Or if there is a problem, they can write here, black hat. For that problem, is there any solution? Yes. So the problem is corrosion is taking place. What is the solution? Galvanization, painting, greasing. So all this can be written in creativity, green hat. The solution, the ideas, the alternatives, and benefits is yellow hat. So after this galvanization, what is the benefit? Then definitely, or we can also make alloys in creativity. So what is the benefit? Alloying is a benefit, is a huge benefit. We can make a lot of alloys and we can use brass, bronze and all. So, this is another way of revising a topic. If you don't want to do it in the form of a test, do like this. You will be able to assess the child easily, right? I hope you will agree to me. So here I have written related to vulcanized rubber and natural rubber. So in my class, I had given about vulcanized rubber. The topic was vulcanized rubber, vulcanization of rubber. So either children can write questions related to hats, or they can write directly the information in the hats. Or else you can also modify the hats. You can modify the meaning of the hat as well. You can decrease or increase the number of hats as per the topic. Other than this, what could be other teacher learning material? Virtual tours. If you scroll through Google Earth, you will find beautiful natural landmarks, explore ecosystems, beautiful. I mean, this is a really good website, Google Earth. Make sure to explore it. Then National Geographic Kids, Hidden Worlds of National Parks, Coral Reef Virtual Dive, explore.org, and Science Museum Virtual Tours. So a lot of tours, virtual tours can be done within the class or even as a home task. They enjoy it a lot, and definitely they create more love towards science. Other than this, you can have simulations, Kahoot, Quizlet, Padlet for discussions, right? Tinkering laboratories and science kits. If a school cannot afford the entire science kit for the individual one, still you should have some science kits in the class, in the laboratory, so that, I mean, there is a good learning experience they can have. Then you can apply 5E model in the class in order to do a topic. This is the list of simulation that you can do, that you can see. I'm sure you must have heard Amrita O Labs. They provide very good experiments. So you can demonstrate, suppose there is an experiment that whose apparatus or whose material is not available in the class, make sure to show them at least, right? Simulations, give homeworks related to simulations. There are a lot of simulations from kindergarten to 12 given in this particular site. Then you can show periodic table to them using calcium or P table. Even if you're talking about metals and non-metals, elements and compounds, use this and or give a home task related to it, right? Now, what about pedagogy of science? Let's quickly do this topic. So first of all, NCF says that pedagogy of science is basically learning science requires an active engagement of students. Again, I'm emphasizing on what is that active engagement. Children should understand, they should have a scientific temper about scientific method. They should have some purpose. I mean, there should be some aim, then research, hypothesis. They do test that hypothesis by doing some experiment, analyze and conclude, right? And then understand whether the hypothesis was correct or not. What else can be done for active engagement? Field visits, laboratory or classroom, right? They can do experiments. Then what could be the approaches to follow? Inquiry approach, discovery approach, didactic, hands-on projects, demonstration, and through experiential learning. And we do this, right? But we have to make sure this is the only way. I mean, if you give any activity to do as a home task or in the class, make it a part of assessment. If you make it a part of assessment, it will be really easy to find the gaps. What is the topic they are not able to understand. Then B part, learning science requires communication and sharing ideas and observation. Using scientific vocabulary very often in the class, peer and collaborative learning. Learning science requires a gradual increase in the capacity to engage with complex and abstract ideas. And how it is achievable? By using multiple representation, use flow charts. I'm sure you do a lot of flow charts in biology, right? Use mathematical, graphical, diagrammatic, and models while explaining some difficult topics by building on students' existing knowledge, right? Then D-part learning science requires making linkages between knowledge of holistic and multidisciplinary learning. You know, though there are times when you feel that why to do art integration every time, but you know, it is really important Many of the kids like it. Many of the kids like to make models, and there are kids who don't like it. So it could be possible because there are individual differences, but you have to provide them ample chances to try to learn the subject, right? So you have to connect scientific knowledge inside and outside the classroom. Very important. Horizontal connections with other curricular areas. And the last point, learning science enables development of certain values like collaboration, sensitivity, empathy, equality of opportunity, respect for diversity, and skills, right? 21st century skills. My last topic for today is assessment techniques. I have this particular picture here. I want you to ponder over the picture and see and tell me, what do you understand with the picture? Anyone who can tell me?
Ma'am, may I say?
Yeah, please.
Ma'am, when we are actually assessing the child, we are not giving the confirmation whether the thing is right or wrong. We are giving the opportunity to the child through various activities to learn and to understand that what betterment can be done while performing that activity. And when we are evaluating, we are actually judging. We are not the judge word is not correct. We are actually trying to understand how much the child has understood, and then accordingly we give the marks or the grades to the child.
Absolutely right. Perfect answer, ma'am. Is there anyone who want to add? So ma'am is absolutely right. We rather use the word assessment. Why I have not written evaluation techniques? Yeah, is there anyone? Okay, I have
Ma'am,
written as,
may I?
yeah. Yeah, please. Please.
Ma'am,
Yes, Shivangi.
basically assessment is, as it has been mentioned, increase the quality. And the quality can be improved not only by just simple formative tests. It will be a continual procedure where the formative assessment and summative assessment should together come up for the assessment rather than just simply evaluation.
Absolutely right. Absolutely right, Preeti ma'am. Miss Shivani also wants to say, please unmute and say.
Good evening, ma'am. I was just about to say the same what Preeti ma'am has already said about.
Yeah, you're right. Yes, absolutely correct. So here,
Ma'am, I just want to say something.
yeah, please.
Ma'am, assessment, I think it's about gathering information, or you can say to understand something, quiz, like a quiz for puzzles, observations, and in evaluation is about the judgment, or it's about the how much the child learned.
You are right. Absolutely. So Sabina ma'am is also absolutely right that we actually, so it's more about we have to take care of assessments. Evaluation will automatically be good, right? If we are, because assessment is a continuous process. It cannot be done on one day and for the whole next month, there is no assessment. It is more continuum. Evaluation, as I said, it will be good automatically if you are taking care of assessments. Assessment is to increase the quality, as it says. And if you say, and you can see this particular comic strip, it clearly says that too short, not enough leaves, C minus is the grade. So it's just a judgment. Why the judge word is here? Because we are just giving some marks to it, right? But the daily assessment is very important for us as educators. Why? Because assessment is actually a process of collecting, reviewing, and using data for the purpose of improvement in current performance. So it's actually to identify the areas of improvement. That's why we do assessment. So it is monitoring that learning progress of students and to find the learning gaps where there is a problem. What is the topic that they have not understood? So based on your observation, negative and positive points, you can provide your frequent and continuous feedback. Right. So the key principles of effective assessment, it is clearly mentioned in NCF that the first one is achievement of competencies. Why we are assessing? Again, we have only one purpose of teaching and learning is competencies. To achieve these competencies. Then second, assessment should be constructive, developmental, and learning focused. Assessment should be stage appropriate. They should accommodate individual differences. They should support a timely, credible, and constructive feedback. Very important. If you're just doing assessments continuously, but you are not doing any follow-up activity, or you are not taking sufficient remedial or whatever is required, then it is meaningless. Assessment should support in meaningful aggregation or summation of student learning. So the key principles, there are two basic key principles which are mentioned. One is students must be assessed for understanding of concepts and to demonstrate capacities. That is, again, this part is coming again and again, in particular in our NCF document. They should observe, they should be able to hypothesize, they should test that hypothesis by some experiments, identify and classification. Then students must be assessed using oral, written, and other performance tasks. They can answer questions, they can make PPTs, they can work in group, they can create artifacts, they can design or replicate experiments, they can analyze data and results, and participate in discussions. So all this will lead to 21st century skills directly, right? So you already know we talk about formative and summative assessments, but there could be peer assessments and self-assessments. And obviously feedback is given as HPC. It can also be given the way you give report cards, or even it could be direct communication. Sorry. So assessment objectives for middle stage is given already in the NCF. Demonstrate knowledge and understanding of scientific ideas. Apply knowledge and understanding of scientific ideas, techniques and procedure to classroom and real life applications. Analyze scientific information and ideas to present data and interpret patterns and relationships. And the last is evaluate that. Evaluate scientific information to make judgments and to draw conclusion. Then assessment details for middle stage. So for this, so it's just a bifurcation of the marks class-wise, which is given. So what are the various assessment techniques that you can use? You can use quizzes, as ma'am already said this. 1 minute paper test. It's not that you need formative assessment, 30 marks test, 20 marks test. Definitely there could be pen paper test, but there are other ways to assess a child. Exit card, think, share, pair, 3-to-1, mind maps, response card, project, open-ended questions, crosswords, lot of things can be done. KWL chart. And definitely for any of the assessment, you should have a rubric. How and why will you give A, B, and C? What is the criteria for that? For example, if you're talking about a project, please, anyone who can tell me, for doing any science project, what are the three criteria for which you give grades? Anyone?
Ma'am, I'm not sure, but I just want to give it a try.
Yeah, please.
The content,
The content.
presentation, and the
Absolutely.
presentation, that means what material, like basically I prefer always telling them using the waste material so that at least
Absolutely.
some important. And then the third thing I believe is the content, the way of presentation, and then the correctness, of course. Many of the time it looks very beautiful, but then it's not correct. Maybe the details are not correct. So that may be the
Absolutely
things.
right. You are right, Richa ma'am. Absolutely. Yes, anyone who want to give a try? I'm sure you must be giving the marks. Yeah.
The idea, the concept,
Creativity.
idea,
Yes.
concept. Second is the project uses a scientific method to test a hypothesis. And
Yeah.
number third is data collection. The project collects data in a way
Wonderful.
that is accurate and reliable.
Wonderful answer, Kavita ma'am. Yes, you're right.
Creativity, innovation.
Yes, absolutely, Bharti ma'am. Yeah, you're right that we do that. We do, so there are, can I say, there are multiple criterias, not just one. The list of the criteria are in many. For example, originality, then cost effectiveness, I can say. Waste material means cost effectiveness. And even in CBSE science exhibitions, this cost effective criteria is very important for them. Originality, then data collection, how they have done the data collection, and how they have actually provided the entire content. The sequence is also important. So there could be n number of ways, criterias, and let me show you few more. Yeah, so for any assessment, even if you are doing a 5-minute assessment, keep some rubrics for that, so that it is very easy to write their points. Keep it in mind, ABC you have to write. So there are many teachers who tell me that I can't do assess every day, or once a week. I can't do that. I ask why, because they say that I can't give marks very quickly. I take time in thinking what they have done. So, rubrics should be in your mind. I will give to this, B I will give to this, C I will give to this. And quickly write in front of their names in the list. It's easy. It's not that difficult
Ma'am,
for
I
that.
can say something here.
Yeah, please.
Ma'am, rubrics, it's not a fixed as means fixed कोई topic नहीं है कि हम इसी के base पे देंगे, because
Yeah,
it's depending upon the task, means depending upon the assessment which we are doing. So the
you're
different
right.
type of assessment has a different type of rubrics.
Absolutely right. Absolutely right. It cannot be possible that each and every assessment will have same rubric. And it could be like there will be only 2 criteria, or maybe only one, right or wrong. It could be like that. So rubrics is not necessary to be of 5 points rubric. It could be just 2 points or maybe one. It's okay. But you should have, if you have done some assessment in the class, or if you have done that activity, call it assessment in your mind and use it as an assessment task. It will also be utilized as an assessment, and it will also it will be included, it will be counted that you have done that assessment, right? So rubrics are assessment tools basically. They describe the quality of work at various levels of proficiency for each criterion. So assessment rubrics help teachers clarify qualities, ensure that all students are assessed by same criteria, help teachers communicate the goals, allow teachers within the schools to collaborate in assessment, play an important part in instruction. So for developing any rubric, select some samples that are clear and characteristic of student work. Develop and label the criteria categories, as I said, and expand them by listing them into elements. Decide how many performance levels you want. For example, this is one task, and there are only 2 criteria for that. So a project was given, and the 2 criteria were understanding of the task, and second, cleaning up after completion of the task. So children were asked to make some model with some waste material. So there were children who left the material after completing the task. So teacher was very clear in her mind that A grade I will give to those children who have used all the material in meaningful way. If they have created a thematic representation to convey the theme, and they can differentiate between water waste and reusable material, and places materials in appropriate places. I will give grade B to those who use most of the material, creates a drawing according to the theme, and puts material together in one place. But I will give grade C to those children who use only few of the materials, create a drawing that does not convey the theme, or they leave materials lying around after doing the activity in the class, right? So it's just one way, because it could not be, it's not necessary to have a big activity in the class. Do the small activities, it's okay, it saves time. Then there is an activity given in NCF itself, in our science section. Hot container activity, a wonderful activity is given. So I will request you to read this. The session is just 10 minutes more for bearing me more. Just read this activity really quick and then we will discuss. I hope many of you have already read the activity. Very simple and interesting. You can also ask your children to do this activity at home and then demonstrate what they have done in the class. So they have 3 containers of different material. They have thermometers, they have stopwatch, and they have to, what they have to do? They will keep hot drink warm. Which container will keep hot drink warm for the longest length of time, right? Yeah. So for this, see the criteria of assessment given. It is already given in NCF that this is how rubric criteria can be done. Yeah. So criteria for assessment could be grade A. Handling criteria list is this: handling equipment, how they have recorded data, interpreting data, application of conceptual understanding, and communication. Right? So how they are handling the data, grade A is given for that child who uses thermometer properly and safely without any help. Grade B needs assistance. Grade C needs assistance using the thermometer. And B for reading needs assistance with reading the thermometer. Recording data, if regular intervals are being followed within 10 minutes, if abruptly readings were taken, and if the readings were taken in the end and at the beginning and at the end, right? Then interpreting the data, they can do the data on the graph as well. It depends how they are actually writing the data. Then how they are connecting it to the content. Then how are they communicating this to us? Is there any visual representation? As I said, graph can be drawn, or they just provide some tabular form or some scientific vocabulary. And if there is, they respond to the questions based on the observation, but does not provide any explanation. So this is how the rubric can be made. If you want a bigger activity, you can change it as per your requirement, as per your activity. So, but there should be some assessments in the form of rubrics. That also helps us to understand whether they have understood the concept or not, right? So to whom you will give the remedial class? To the ones who have got grade C, right? So what you will do after the rubrics, after the assessment? So probable action plan can be followed for suboptimal achievers, consistent achievers, and exemplary achievers, right? I'm not discussing in here, but this is what we can do as a follow-up task for the assessment. So we cannot have the same plan for everybody because of their individual differences. For higher achievers, we have different approach. For moderate achievers, we have different approach. And for suboptimal achievers, we have different approach. So as we were talking about competencies and curricular goals, I hope everybody is very much clear that in competencies and curricular goals, though NCERT is able to cover many of the competencies and curricular goals in grade 6, but still grade 7 and 8, grade 7 is still good. I mean, a lot of curricular goals and competencies are covered, but we have found that many of the competencies are not covered in grade 8. But as the circular says, the focus should be on those books where we have to take care, we have to use those resource materials which are as per NCF guidelines, right? So grade 6 NCERT is already there, but still 7 and 8 are old ones. Definitely in the next year, in the next session, they are planning to bring it. But our organization has already made such of the books which are NEP based. The assessment section have all those tools, like competency based learning is there. You will find there are questions related to art integration, subject integration, life skills, SDGs, which are very important, and all typology of questions that you name, and it is there in our books. NCF based activities and exercise, all those pramanas, panchkoshas, panchpadi we have focused, and we have also focused on each and every curricular goal and competency in our books. So we proudly say that our books are NEP and NCF aligned. Then the online support we provide on the merit box. And we also provide TRB, Teacher Resource Book, where we provide lesson plans and extra extended learning activities that teacher can do. The lesson plans are period wise. Online support includes, I'll show you what it includes, but it is available on merit box. So these are the content pages, the cover pages of our books, illustrative science series for middle stage 6, 7, 8. Then for the class 6 content list, you will find the illustrative science content list is exactly same as that given in NCERT. And what is the difference? We have more activities. We provide more comprehensive learning. And not only that, we have these 3 components, very important. One, we provide subtopic wise interactive exercise. After many subtopics, you will find there are interactive exercise. QR codes are given for that. We also provide AR, VR, very important and interesting feature in our book. So if you're talking about moon, you can a child can scan that QR at home and can visualize the craters on the moon. The VR feel they can have. If you are talking about windmill, scan the QR code and child can see the windmill farm, and many more. Lot of 3D models and VR videos you can find that it is there. Just scan the QR code and ask your doubt feature. So after the chapter, you will find in each book, we have provided a QR code where they can solve their doubts. They can make summary. They can have a lot of questions. They can even make questions and they can solve their problems related to the chapter. So this is how scan the QR code for interactive exercise. So QR code is given after subtopics. Scan the QR code to watch AR of the moon or VR of few of the topics and 3D model of some topics. So for that QR codes are given. And for example, Milky Way galaxy, just talking about it and or viewing it. What do you think? What is more eye appealing? Definitely Milky Way galaxy. By looking at the Milky Way galaxy, oh, this is how it looks like, right? Scan the QR code to ask your query, a very important feature. So we have integrated AI where they can easily ask their doubts and they can resolve their queries. So in online features, we provide animated videos and video lectures, chapter-wise, topic-wise. We provide interactive exercise and worksheets. For each chapter, we have worksheets available on Meritbox. So definitely we have plethora of things accommodated in these illustrative science series that I wanted to promote at the end of the 5 minutes. So thank you for your patience and your time. Make sure to fill the feedback form, which is given in the link. Jitin sir, please provide the link. And if you have any
Yes, ma'am.
questions, please feel free to ask.
Yes, we'll share the link on chat box. Link has already been shared on chat box. I request all the participants to give your valuable feedback. And
Ma'am,
once again, thank you, Ashima ma'am, for such a wonderful and enlightening session. And I hope we have covered almost all the questions and queries. So with this, I think we can end the webinar and come back with the next webinar, which is planned on 19th. On 20th now. So we'll meet on 20th. The same link will be followed for other subjects as well. Thank you. With this, we will end the webinar now. Thank you once again. Thank you.
Just I want to add here there is a question here about the certificate. Please fill the feedback form and the certificate will be generated.
Ma'am, there are so many links for the feedback. It's all are the same, or
Yeah,
these are the different?
all are the same.
Okay, ma'am.
Ma'am, can the link be again provided? I actually somehow exited. So
It is
if you
there in
can.
the chat, meeting chat only, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Got it. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, ma'am.
Have a good evening ahead. We are dispersing the meeting now. Thank you.
Thank you.